My girlfriend forced me to quit my theater role, then secretly sabotaged my co-star and publicly accused me of cheating. They say actors should separate the stage from real life, but what if the drama follows you home? For months, I truly believed I had found love with Rachel, the kind of girl who cheered for me, laughed at my dumb jokes, and made every day feel like a movie. But when I finally stepped into the spotlight again, everything changed. The story I thought I was living turned into something darker and completely unrehearsed. I'm 19, and Rachel and I have been dating for about 5 months now. We met at a college party through mutual friends, and the connection was instant. She seemed sweet, funny, and genuinely fascinated by everything I talked about, especially my love for acting. I've loved theater since I was 15. My drama teacher, Mrs. Bennett, used to call me her natural. She said I had an instinct for performance that couldn't be taught. By the time I finished high school, I had been part of every major production, big or small. When I started college, I realized how much I missed that feeling of being on stage, the lights, the story, the rush of pretending to be someone else. So about 7 months ago, I joined Center Stage Productions, a local theater group. It wasn't professional or glamorous, but it was everything I'd been craving. In the beginning, I only worked in the background, helping with props, playing small roles, or being part of crowd scenes. I didn't mind. Everyone starts somewhere. I was just happy to be there again, surrounded by creative people who loved storytelling as much as I did. That's where I met Emily. She'd been in the group for 3 years and was one of those performers who just owned the stage. Whenever there was a lead role, Emily usually got it, and honestly, she deserved it. Then there was David, who handled lighting but sometimes acted too. Lucas was our director, and Nora managed costumes and design. Then last week, Lucas gave me news that made my heart race. He wanted to cast me in my first real speaking role. Not the lead, but still a major step up. My character was supposed to be deeply in love with Emily's character, a young artist torn between love and ambition. There was even a duet, a love song, that ended with a kiss. When I first read the script, I told Lucas I wasn't entirely comfortable with the kiss. It wasn't just because of Rachel. I simply didn't want my first on-stage kiss to happen like that. I asked if we could change it to a heartfelt hug instead, and Lucas was completely fine with it. He said the emotion was more important than the action. I couldn't wait to tell Rachel. She had always claimed to support my acting, so I thought she'd be thrilled. At first, she really did seem happy. She congratulated me and said she was proud. But the next day, everything shifted. She started sending these passive-aggressive texts like, "Hope you're enjoying rehearsing with Emily," or "Must be nice to have an excuse to hug other girls." When I called her to clear things up, she shut down. She told me she didn't want to talk about the theater at all. I tried explaining that it was acting, that I'd even removed the kiss, but she wasn't hearing it. Then came the jealousy, the questions, the accusations. She'd say things like, "I can't stop thinking about you touching her," or "I know you'll be imagining her even when you come home." During one of these conversations, she finally opened up about her past. When she was 13, her father left her mom for a younger coworker. Since then, she'd struggled to trust men. Her first boyfriend in high school cheated on her with her best friend. The next one was emotionally manipulative, threatening to dump her if she didn't obey his every word. It all made sense in a way. I understood why she was so afraid, but it also hurt that she didn't trust me. Acting wasn't some random hobby. It was a dream I'd been chasing long before she came into my life. Still, the arguments got worse. Whenever I reassured her, she'd fire back with sarcastic comments like, "Oh, so you'll just grope her instead of kissing." Great, I tried to stay calm, but one day I snapped. I told her she needed therapy to deal with her trust issues instead of projecting them onto me. She broke down crying, and I immediately felt terrible. To stop the fight, I told her I'd quit the role. The next morning, I informed Lucas that I couldn't continue. He was disappointed but understanding. Emily looked crushed too. She didn't say much, just nodded quietly. But things got weirder after that. A few days later, Emily pulled me aside after rehearsal, her hands shaking. She showed me her phone messages from Rachel. They were vicious. Rachel had sent her threatening DMs, accusing her of trying to steal me and warning her to stay away. I was stunned. Rachel had never mentioned contacting Emily. Now I was trapped. On one hand, I loved Rachel and understood her trauma. On the other, her behavior was toxic, controlling, manipulative, and completely out of line. My sister Nora told me that this was only the beginning, that it would get worse if I didn't draw the line. But I couldn't bring myself to leave her. Not yet. It's been 3 weeks since then, and things have only gotten worse. Whenever I even mention rehearsals, Rachel gets furious. She says the thought of me being near Emily makes her sick. Despite that, I've continued attending rehearsals as a background actor. Lucas gave my part to Josh, another performer. Emily tried to stay professional, but I could tell she was struggling. She barely spoke to me, probably worried that any interaction might cause more trouble. Then one afternoon, Emily approached me looking devastated. What she told me left me speechless. Apparently, Rachel had been spreading lies around the group. She told people that Emily was trying to break us up, that she had a reputation for stealing other actors' boyfriends. None of it was true. Emily had been with David for 3 years and they were solid, but the damage was done. Some cast members started acting cold toward her. The rumors spread fast enough that Lucas had to call a meeting to clear the air. It was humiliating. Rachel's lies had turned my private relationship drama into a public scandal. Some people even suggested kicking Emily out to avoid more problems. She cried right there in front of everyone. When I confronted Rachel, I expected denial. Instead, she doubled down. She accused me of taking Emily's side, saying my defense of her proved I had feelings for her. Then she admitted something that made my skin crawl. She'd been following me. After rehearsals, she would wait across the street in her car and follow me home, just to make sure I wasn't meeting up with Emily. She'd been doing it for weeks. I was completely freaked out. I tried talking to her mom, thinking maybe she'd understand the seriousness of it. But her mom defended her, saying I was being insensitive to Rachel's trauma. Then, unbelievably, she called my parents, accusing me of emotionally abusing Rachel by not giving up acting. My dad told me to walk away from the drama and focus on something else, but my mom said Rachel's behavior seemed controlling and dangerous. At this point, people in the group had started believing Rachel's side of things. Some even whispered that I was playing both girls. David was trying to stay calm, but I could tell he was getting angry. His girlfriend's reputation was being torn apart. And then came the worst part. Rachel started spreading these rumors around campus too. She told people Emily seduced me and that I'd fallen for her during rehearsals. She cast herself as the poor, heartbroken girlfriend, just like what happened with her father. I'm stuck. If I stay in theater, I'll keep fueling her jealousy. But if I quit, I'll be letting her control my life. Every time I try to talk to her, she breaks down crying and says losing me would destroy her. I still care about her deeply, but I can feel the walls closing in. Yesterday, everything changed. David, Emily's boyfriend, pulled me aside before rehearsal. He looked tense, like he'd been holding something in for a while. Then he showed me his phone. It was a message thread between him and Rachel, from a year ago, before Rachel and I ever met. She had been flirting with him constantly, sending him late-night messages, asking to meet up alone, and even hinting at wanting something more while he was already dating Emily. I stared at the screen in disbelief. The same girl who accused me of being unfaithful had once tried to seduce the very guy she claimed was the victim of Emily's scheming. And suddenly, everything made sense: the paranoia, the accusations, the constant projection. Rachel wasn't protecting herself from betrayal. She was terrified of being exposed. Even though everything between Rachel and me happened months ago, discovering the truth shattered the image I had of her completely. But as bad as it was, the worst part hadn't even hit me yet. Everything began to make horrifying sense when David told me one final detail. Apparently, before Rachel and I ever crossed paths, she had already tried 3 separate times to join our theater group. She would show up for auditions full of confidence, but never managed to secure a role. According to David, when Emily got the part Rachel had wanted during the last round of auditions about 8 months ago, Rachel completely lost it. She accused Emily of sleeping with Lucas to get ahead, insisting that the director was biased. David told me Rachel's obsession with our theater troupe wasn't new at all. She had been fixated on it for quite a while. She was a devoted follower who attended nearly every production, often posting about them online and tagging members of the cast. When Ethan later confirmed what David said, everything finally clicked. Rachel had learned from him that I planned to audition for the group, and she'd asked him to introduce us. From the very start, meeting me wasn't coincidence, it was part of her plan. That realization hit me like a punch to the chest. Her jealousy toward Emily wasn't even really about me. It was about revenge. Emily had once rejected her friendship and had caught her trying to flirt with David, so Rachel feared that if Emily ever exposed that truth, her entire facade would crumble. When I confronted Rachel with the messages and everything I'd learned, she didn't even bother denying it. She just smirked and told me I was too naive to understand how the world really worked. Then she admitted it. She had originally wanted to use me as a pawn, a way to get back at Emily and ruin her reputation within the group. Her plan was twisted but clever. If she could convince everyone that Emily was a manipulative flirt, she'd not only get revenge, but maybe even another shot at joining the troupe herself. Every tear she shed, every story about her trauma, had been part of the act. I felt sick to my stomach. I had believed her, defended her, and even quit my dream role because of her lies. I had let her make me feel guilty for doing what I loved. Worse, my friends and Emily paid the price for my blindness. Emily's reputation was nearly destroyed, and even though the truth has come out, a few people still look at her differently. Lucas, exhausted by all the conflict, even considered canceling the whole production for a while. When I told Ethan everything, he was stunned. Rachel had told him a completely different version, that she only wanted to meet me because she thought I was talented and passionate after seeing me perform at a college event. He felt terrible for introducing us. My sister Nora, on the other hand, didn't even try to hide her frustration. Her only words were, "I told you so." And she was right. She had seen through Rachel from day one. My parents apologized too, saying they had no idea how manipulative Rachel truly was and regretted ever suggesting I quit acting for her. I needed some distance from everything, so I packed a bag and went to stay with Nora for a few days to clear my head. During that time, Rachel blew up my phone. One minute she was crying and apologizing. The next, she was threatening to expose me by claiming I'd chased her first. She even tried turning my college friends against me by contacting them with made-up stories. That was my breaking point. I knew I had to cut her out of my life for good. But even that scared me. She had already proven she was willing to go to extremes to hurt people who went against her. I'm still trying to figure out how to rebuild what she broke, especially with Emily, who bore the brunt of Rachel's cruelty. I plan to make things right, one step at a time. For now, I just needed to let it all out, to put into words how unbelievably twisted this whole situation became. 3 months later, after discovering how deep Rachel's obsession with the theater group really went, I ended things with her for good. The breakup was brutal. The moment I told her it was over, she lost control, screaming, crying, and showing up at my apartment multiple times. I had to threaten to call the police before she finally left. But the chaos didn't stop there. For weeks, she created fake social media accounts, spreading rumors that I was emotionally abusive and had cheated with Emily. She harassed my friends, my classmates, even tried reaching out to my parents. With Nora's help, I documented everything and filed for a restraining order. Thankfully, once the paperwork went through, she backed off. Since then, life has started to feel normal again. I got cast in an even better role in our next production, and being back on stage has reminded me why I fell in love with acting in the first place. Lucas apologized for not catching on sooner and admitted he recognized Rachel from her failed auditions, but hadn't realized it was the same person causing all the drama. Everyone in the group has been incredibly supportive since learning the truth. Emily and I have grown close as friends. She helped me understand just how manipulative Rachel really was and never once held a grudge. She and David are still together, and they're getting married next year. They even asked me to be part of the wedding party. Several members who once believed Rachel's lies have since come forward to apologize to Emily. The group feels united again, and the energy during rehearsals is better than ever. The dark cloud that once hovered over us is finally gone. Ethan cut ties with Rachel too. Apparently, he found out she had lied to him about other things and even tried stirring drama in his circle of friends. Word around campus is that Rachel has started seeing someone from another theater group. I briefly considered warning the guy, but then I realized it wasn't my place. I can only hope she's changed, though deep down I doubt it. It's still hard to accept that she used me as part of her revenge scheme. I almost gave up my dream for someone who only saw me as a tool. The signs were there all along, like Nora said. I just didn't want to see them because I felt sorry for her. This whole experience has taught me something valuable. Pity and love are not the same thing. You can care about someone's pain, but you should never let that pain dictate your own life. Now I'm back where I belong, on stage, doing what makes me happiest. I've even started considering auditions for professional theater companies in the city. Every now and then, I still get weird anonymous messages that I'm almost sure are from Rachel's new fake accounts. I just block them immediately. The restraining order is still active, and I'm documenting everything just to be safe. Removing her from my life has lifted a weight I didn't realize I was carrying. More than anything, this ordeal showed me the quiet strength of family. My parents, despite their earlier mistakes, stood by me. And Nora, she was my rock through all of it. Family doesn't always tell you what you want to hear, but they're the ones who keep you grounded when everything else falls apart. Their love might not be loud or dramatic, but it's steady and it's real. Thanks to them, I didn't lose myself completely. I nearly sacrificed my passion for someone who only cared about control. Now I've reclaimed both my dream and my sense of self. And that, I've learned, is the real happy ending. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment. Hit subscribe, follow for more, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next one.